Looky here, folks, from a website called DC Whispers, the headline, members of Congress and media stunned that Trump is still standing and fighting back. By the way, did you see economic growth? 3.3%. Did I not tell you yesterday it was going to exceed 3%? And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the great economic news. So members of Congress and media stunned that Trump is still standing and fighting back. Robin Roberts on Good Morning America today was in tears. Why does Trump still have his job and all of us are losing ours? And then Wolf blitzed over on CNN. Have Democrats lost the moral high ground on sexual harassment? I am going to explain all of this. I'm going to answer every question anybody has about this today. And as an added bonus, I'm going to keep adding to the reasons for getting rid of net neutrality. We're going to continue the burial process of Pocahontas and her little financial bureau here that they tried to set up as a private little money laundering operation. And, of course, the sad tale of what happened at NBC today with Matt Lauer. The latest details on the Matt Lauer situation. These things have a lifespan. Oh, my God, we didn't know. Oh, no. This just came out of the blue. We didn't know. And then we start hearing from the people who knew. Well, actually, a lot of people knew about this for a long time. Began to trickle out in various tweets and blog posts. And it turns out a lot of people knew about this. For a long time, the particular complaint against Matt Lauer is 3 years old, goes back to the Sochi Olympics. According to the New York Post, page 6, the sexual misconduct allegations against Matt Lauer go back to the Sochi Winter Olympics in 2014. If that's true, it means that NBC sat on this for 3 years. They're claiming they only found out about it on Monday, which is 2 days ago. But it happened 3 years ago. That's even longer than NBC sat on Juanita Broderick's rape allegation against Bill Clinton. Page 6, this is worse yet. Page 6 says that Matt Lauer's firing only came on Tuesday because of rumors that several news outlets were working on stories about Matt Lauer's alleged sexual misconduct. The New York Times was working on one. And there were a couple of other news organizations that were sniffing around this. In fact, according to CNN, just see CNN. CNN's boycotting the White House media Christmas party. You see Sarah Huckabee Sanders' tweet? Happy holidays. There's at least some good news. CNN's not showing up at our party. Do you not love this? So here's CNN all over their high horse. Well, harumph, harumph. Because of the mistreatment of our brave journalists the world over. We are not going to attend the White House Christmas party on Friday night. Sarah Sanders, good. We'll miss you. They are gobsmacked. They don't know what hit them. They did think they would have dispatched Trump by now. They thought they'd have dispatched with Pence by now. They thought by now that by hook and crook of the Constitution, they'd have gotten Hillary back in there. Or crazy Bernie. They are gobsmacked, folks. Anyway, CNN says that reporters for the New York Times have been investigating Matt Lauer for several weeks. So the implication is that NBC might have covered up for Matt Lauer forever if it weren't for these other investigations. That's not my implication. Excuse me, that's not my inference. That is from page 6. And CNN claiming that the timetable here was moved up by NBC because they found out other news organizations were looking into this. Now, I want to take you back, folks, and we'll explain some things here. Take you back to the Access Hollywood video that was released it was sometime in October 2016. And I'm sure you all remember this. Now, this comes under the rubric here, members of Congress and media stunned that Trump is still standing and fighting back. And I'm telling you that they are being truthful when they admit to this. And it's not just members of Congress media, it's Republicans. And it is conservative, never Trump media types. Believe me, the entirety of the Washington establishment literally is in a state of stunned disbelief over the fact they have, not only have they not gotten rid of Trump, they haven't dented him. When you get right down to it, they haven't even put a dent in him. He's not just still standing, he's dominating. It's not that he's just barely hanging on and teetering on the edge. He is dominating. He is authoring, if you will, the daily narrative. He is totally controlling the media, whether they know it or not. And one of the reasons that they're shocked is because they were convinced that the Access Hollywood video back in 2016, back in October, would spell the end of Donald Trump, and it didn't. Now, I want to play for you what I said about this back then. This serves a dual purpose. It will remind you, but will also illustrate for you my prescience and complete understanding of the lay of the land, because there is something that the swamp dwellers, the establishment, the media, never Trumpers, Republican and Democrat alike, something that they still do not understand about their own country, something they still do not understand about the people who voted for and continue to back up and support Donald Trump, something they still do not understand. I've explained it numerous times, and I'm going to explain it again. But first, here is an audio recap of me, October 10th, 2016. This is our first show after the NBC Access Hollywood video was released. And that's the Billy Bush video where Trump and Billy Bush are chatting with one another about the power of celebrities and what that power allows celebrities to do with women. And that's the video that had the Trump comment, yeah, I like to grab their, and that just sent shocks of outrage and disbelief, reverberating, ricocheting throughout every sector of the drive-by media, and they thought Trump was toast. And I dare say many in the Trump campaign probably thought he was toast. I want to admit something here, but first, here's the audio of what was said by me on this program. Listen to all of it. This whole release of that tape, and I'm not excusing what's on it, but he's not the only person to ever speak this way. He's not the only person to ever seek office. He may have said these things, but the Democrats have nominated and elected and celebrated people who do these things. And where is the outrage over it? I find it ironic that the Democrat Party wants to throw down the morality card, the Democrat Party, which is responsible for the dissolution of morality in this country, the Democrat Party, which is for all these progressive new attitudes in our culture, and now all of a sudden acting like a bunch of prudes, acting like, oh my God, I have never been this outraged. Oh, this is just beyond the pale. These are the architects of this kind of stuff. If Trump were a Democrat, they'd be covering it up and privately inviting him to parties and yucking it up. But the reason this happened, and it's going to happen again, they can't afford. Folks, this is what it looks like. I kept telling people over the weekend when people were asking my opinion on it, I said, this is what it looks like when you take on the establishment. This is exactly what it looks like. It isn't going to be pretty. I'll tell you something. I may have told you that I did this on a previous occasion, but I don't remember. I seldom, in fact, I can count on one hand the number of times I have called a campaign or a candidate in the midst of a campaign to either react or even request an interview. I just don't do it. It's not an active thing. It's something in myself. I just don't do it. It's not my bailiwick. It's not my level of expertise. I don't pretend to know how that business operates, but this time I did. This time I called and I emailed people in the Trump campaign. I'm not going to tell you who, because that doesn't matter. What I told them is what matters. And I said, whatever you do, do not overreact and grovel. Do not fall prey to this. Do not go on the defensive because of this. I said, the one thing that you may not understand, and I'm telling them in the Trump campaign, the American people are fed up. Remember, this was an October surprise. This tape had been in possession of people for years. The Washington Post actually revealed this tape. They're the ones that released it. NBC had been sitting on it for a while. That everybody knew about this, and nobody had cared, and nobody had released it, and nobody had even talked about it because there was no way that it was useful for them in damaging Trump. But now all of a sudden, he's running for president, and this is what they do. In fact, this is what the Democrats primarily do. The Republicans also engage in their own versions of October surprises. But I told the Trump people, your voters are not going to abandon Donald Trump over this. What you need to know is that Trump voters are fed up with this kind of stuff determining who wins and who loses elections. I said, what you need to know, and never forget, and I'm sure they did know it. I was not taking any chances. I wanted to make sure, but I'm sure they got it. Your voters are supporting you because of serious things and issues in this country. Your voters think we're down to the last chance. Your voters think that this country is on the precipice of being transformed into something it was never intended to be. And Donald Trump stands as the one guy who can stop it. And his voters are not going to abandon him over this. They're not going to abandon him over tweets. They're not going to abandon him over the traditional and typical ways that Democrats and the media try to take out and destroy Republican candidates. So don't think that you're in trouble with your own voters over this. And I made a point of saying it's not that they don't care, and it's not that they're not going to, have second thoughts about you, but they're not going to let this kind of thing, this kind of typical political last-minute trick, they're not going to let it work this time. They're fed up with it. And I told them to be confident that they're not going to lose any support from their base because of this. And the reason I went out of my, well, it wasn't out of my way. The reason I made the point is because it was an earth-shattering thing, and it's the kind of thing that can trip up a campaign and cause defections and lack of confidence or loss of confidence. And I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. Because the American people, as we now know a majority who voted for Trump, firmly believed this country was in crisis. The people in Washington, D.C. do not. They never have thought that the country is on the precipice of being transformed into something it was not intended to be, because their lives are fine. They live in the financial capital. They live in the power capital of the world, Washington, D.C. Life for them, circumstances for them do not mirror the circumstances for average Americans who do not live in Washington. Open borders, this never-ending stream of people coming into the country and not assimilating, threatening the very fabric, social, economic, financial of this country. People are just fed up. They're angry, and they're angry at the Republican Party for not listening to them. They're angry at the Republican Party for pretending to hear them on the campaign trail, but then abandoning them after they get elected and not implementing policies they promised to. And furthermore, I told them that the people voting for Donald Trump are fed up with this double standard. The Democrats excuse Bill Clinton and all these other sexual abusers and make them heroes. They rise to the top of the latter in the Democrat Party power structure and apparatus, and they are never held accountable for the things that they do. And I said, this tape is nothing more than something you said. So don't kowtow to it. I don't even know if the message was conveyed to Trump. Sorry about that. I just heard the table reverberate. I don't know if the message was conveyed to Trump. You know, in these massive organizations like this, you don't know. But I was proven right about this. Look, I'm up against it on time. A quick time out here, but we will continue on this train, this path when we get back. Don't go away. On Good Morning America today, Robin Roberts. Now keep in mind the drive-by stars are dropping like flies because of sexual abuse and sexual harassment of women. And this is not how it was supposed to be. It was Trump on tape bragging about what powerful guys get to do with women, but all he was doing was talking. Now these Democrats are getting caught, and Robin Roberts cannot believe
People
it.
keep going back to, the President Trump just tweeting about it as well, and people are saying people losing their jobs, and yet in other positions in politics, and not just with President Trump, but other politicians who are accused of these types of actions, they still have their jobs, and people are trying to kind of reconcile and try and understand that.
This is not over yet.
Oh, that's George Stephanopoulos, who ran the war room of the Clinton campaign, helping destroy women who came forward to accuse Bill Clinton. Robin Roberts, why does Trump still have his job? Why is the media stars losing their job? Why does Trump still have? I can explain this. It's real easy. In fact, you know what, Ms. Roberts, I'm going to explain to you why Trump still has a job. We get back from the break. Why he hasn't lost any support, despite you.